take us back to the beginning? How did you discover your passion for the arts?
So, my earliest memory of loving acting or film in general is when we would have our family movie nights every Friday. And it became pretty routine that every Friday night we would sort of explore. My dad's a big fan of the 80s, so we get to explore some movies out of my social periphery. It's something that's a little bit it was new to me. It was very exciting. We were watching all like the Indiana Jones movies, all Star Wars movies, and then some like really interesting indie films and stuff like that. And I was very interested in it. And about the same time I was doing that, I began to do community theater as a kid. And always I sort of gravitated toward both the modes of storytelling. I would write a lot. I love to tell stories. I love to like do puppet shows, all that fun stuff, plays. But I also loved videography and digital cameras and stuff like that. And so when those two things sort of coalesced, I was like, I feel like I have, this draw toward, cinematic storytelling. And it was something that I've always just been super interested in.
That's the perfect segue into this next question. In addition to being an actor, you're also a writer and director. How has your work behind the scenes made you a stronger actor and vice versa?
From my perspective, it's integral to my acting because as an actor, I am as much cerebral as I am intuitive or instinctive. So when I break down a story or a character, or I try to understand their point of view, or what motivates them to do what they do, what motivates their quote unquote irrational decision making, from a writer's perspective, it's incredibly useful to understand all of the psychology that goes behind those things and to understand that. And then also at the same time, when you have an idea of what the director's going through, what the writer's going through, what they're setting up, what they're trying to do with the script, it makes it much easier to serve them instead of me serving myself as the actor, rather kind of taking an x-ray to the story, finding what they find really interesting about it, and then me being able to take my personal spin on that. So I think for myself, they very, very much go like in tandem.
That's a great answer. When you look at your career as a whole, who or what has had the biggest influence, either personally or professionally?
Um, I mean, some of my friends have been vital to me in showing me films and showing me TV and showing me the arts and exposing me to like a very sometimes an intellectual world, sometimes an emotional world. But I think as far as my personal inspirations go, professionally speaking, um, that's a tough one. I have so many people I'm a fan of. I love I'm always a fan of actors that hone in on the craft of acting, which is kind of like what I was saying before, that place where intuition and preparation meet. And so recently when I watched Your Honor, two of my favorite actors, Bryan Cranston and Michael Stahlberg, they're just the perfect examples of, in my opinion, craftful actors. I only say men because it's easier for me to identify with men because I am a male. But yeah, I think definitely those two are some huge inspirations for me, and points of reference to sort of see like where's my trajectory lying, how close can I get to that.
Yeah, you're currently starring in Are You Afraid of the Dark? Can you tell us about the series, your character, and what drew you to this project?
Yeah, the series is an adaptation, or it's a reboot of the '90s anthology series Are You Afraid of the Dark, Nickelodeon, and the show is about. So what they've done with it is they've taken the original premise and concept of a midnight society, a group of Breakfast Club-esque kids meeting at midnight to tell scary stories, which end up manifesting in their real life since they have to battle. And they've taken that concept and they've sort of put like a midnight society in many different towns. And so each season, kind of like American Horror Story, something like that, follows a new monster, a new ensemble, a new midnight society. And this season, I'm the leader of the Midnight Society, and I go missing, and it's now their pursuit to go find me, kind of like, Will Byers going missing in the beginning of Stranger Things, and now they have to go, pursue their friend. Um, and what drew me to the project, I mean, um, honestly, it was the people making it that I was so fascinated with. JT Billings, the writer of it, this is his first major project that he's written, but the director that it was attached by the time that I signed on to it was Jeff Wadlow, and he had done many pretty acclaimed horror films like Truth or Dare, a lot of Blumhouse stuff, Fantasy Island, things like that. And I really enjoyed his work, and I was like, I'd love to work with. I'd love to see what kind of twist he takes on this, because it is Nickelodeon. They're bringing a much more mature take to the '90s show. So I was like, well, I'm really curious to see how this goes. And the specific character that I play in the show is pretty layered. So it's a challenge and just as enticing to me as an actor.
Yeah, like you were just saying, this is a reboot of the 90s series. Did you feel any pressure heading into this project, just given how large this fan base is?
It didn't really catch up to me until like as I was shooting it, because I got it, I didn't really know of it, and then I hitched up and went to Canada to go shoot it. As I was in the process of like quarantining and shooting it, I actually realized a lot of my friends, the people that I know of the show, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're part of like the Midnight Society. Now you're gonna be on Are You Afraid of the Dark?" And with that, I do think normally it would come with there's a certain like weight on your shoulders you have to carry. Because I know the series that we're doing is taking its own spin with it, uh, it's more comforting because we maintain that same integrity of the original story while kind of making our own more modern take on it, much more like cinematic, less indie. And so it's still scary. It's a different kind of scary though, and it's the same characters, but just slightly revitalized.
In the most recent episode, we see that Connor has been reunited with the Midnight Society. What's ahead for them, specifically for Connor, in the back half of the season?
Well, so there's a certain twist that happens halfway through, and I'm not going to say it, even though it's kind of already happened in the show. I won't say it. I'll tease it and say there's a certain twist that happens halfway through. Because we do have 6 hour long episodes, it's hard to pursue the one singular monster throughout the entire time. And so there's a little switcheroo that happens halfway through, and the monster is suddenly hiding in plain sight, and now they have to battle it uh, as it takes on stronger abilities and becomes more and more invisible.
Yeah, this is a breakout television role for you. Has anything surprised you about the experience? What's been the biggest takeaway?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that over the course of shooting, you just begin to, um, I don't know. I mean, I've never shot for that long before. And so there's a lot of issues and adversities that come in the way, and you realize like places to grow and things you should work better at. But it's also an opportunity to become much closer affiliated to a project, a story, a character, a feeling, and just being able to connect myself to something like that and with the same people for so long has just offered me a great opportunity to hopefully develop my craft. And I think the biggest takeaway would be, that's a tough one. There's a lot of takeaways because I don't know. I mean, it's still such a new experience to me. Um, I don't know. That's a tough one. It's hard to say. There's a lot of stuff that I take away.
Yeah, we just like to end all of our interviews with a pop culture speed round. Do you have a guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, you get a new one?
New or old, doesn't matter.
Ooh, gosh, I really don't. I wish I did. I don't really like the things that I would consider to be guilty pleasures, most people wouldn't consider to be guilty pleasures. Uh, what do I watch? Like I love like Superstore, but I don't think that's a guilty pleasure. Like I feel like Superstore is a really solid show. I'll say Superstore though, because that was like that's what I would like always go to first.
What about a guilty pleasure movie?
Oh, just favorite movie? 2001: A Space Odyssey.
What about a favorite book?
Favorite book? I'll say the one that struck me the most last year was a book called A Little Life, which I believe won the Man Booker Prize. Very, very good book. Really long, but very good.
Favorite play or musical?
Uh, I'll just go classic, Sound of Music.
Love that. What about a band or artist that fans would be surprised to learn is on your playlist?
Ooh. Hmm. Uh, Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then final question for you. What is your dream role?
My dream role would be uh, like a specific character, like a movie, or um, I'd say anything in a Paul Thomas Anderson movie would be my dream role.